Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, welcome to a dreary Monday. Jess just told me that it's days like this that make her happy. It's odd. That's odd. Most people, they look out the window and they have to go back to bed.
Oh, I love it.
She loves it. She loves it. Oh, I love a dreary day. Yeah. Most of us prefer the sun, but that's okay. Good. Steelers will not have a winless season. That's good, too. I'm looking for all the bright spots. Yeah, they're out there. Our country is barreling towards some kind of disaster as a result of the clowns that are steering the ship of state. And I don't really, again, what the hell is there to say? I will be so annoyed if the Republicans in any way get anything from this. Anything. This was their gambit. It's already gone awry. And there is no way they should be the beneficiaries of anything from it. They got to get hurt and hurt bad so that they do not do this again. So the country might be able to return to some measure, and a very small one at that, of governance. As opposed to these lurching, terroristic kind of episodes, one after the other. Oh, what's to become of us? Oh, who's going to lose their job? Oh, will there be enough money? Oh, this. People out of work. People this. People that. Economy coming to a halt. And all because the Republicans wanted, in the words of one congressman from the GOP, to not be disrespected. And that now they need to get something for this. Something. So I have decided that rather than that to talk about, I offer up to you a few little items that crossed. Does something cross your purview? Whatever, that I came upon in the course of the weekend when I had an opportunity to do quite a bit of reading. And, you know, I read all the local stuff and stuff. Mostly what I have here are questions. Because I read things and then I think, what? Here's my first one. This is just a little item. It was about the Columbus Day Parade. Oh, by the way, happy Columbus Day. Let's not get into that either. That's a whole other. Happy Columbus Day. There was a Columbus Day Parade that wended its way through Bloomfield. Says here it's the 28th annual Columbus Day Parade. Is that Pittsburgh's that goes through Bloomfield?
I think so.
I think it does too. That makes sense because Bloomfield is the Little Italy of Pittsburgh. And it says here, and this is in the Tribune Review, I didn't see anything in the Post-Gazette. It is so weird, by the way, if you read both local papers, because you're missing out on a whole lot of news if you just read one. It's odd. Their choice of, and I'm not suggesting politics here, because on the news pages, the Trib, does fine work. Those reporters do good work, and often I think they're providing more than the PG is these days, which troubles me. Anyway, this was in the Post-Gazette. It said that the parade was closed down for a little bit because there was an accident on it when a bicyclist, as so often is the case, disregarding all rules, came barreling down in the bike lane through the parade route, which during a parade, I'm sorry, is closed. And while barreling down the bicycle lane on, what would that be? Penn Avenue. Liberty Avenue. He hit somebody. He hit a man, a 56-year-old man, Giovanni Cimino. I mean, who else would be at the Columbus Day? Giovanni was there, and he was passing out flyers for the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh's for the Christmas party and breakfast with Santa. And he was just doing his job, and he gets mowed down by this bicyclist a little bit before noon. And Giovanni was knocked down and was unconscious. He's lying there on why do I keep blanking on Liberty Avenue? But then I thought, as I'm reading the story, but here's the good thing, because it says right here, the accident happened shortly before noon on Liberty Avenue in front of West Penn Hospital. And I was thinking, that is so, I've heard many stories where somebody is in some terrible accident or they have a heart attack and they just happen to be walking by a hospital or in the hospital itself or whatever, and so they get immediate attention and they're good to go. Whereas if it had happened someplace else, they might not have been. So Giovanni was really lucky in this respect. This accident happened right in front of West Penn Hospital. But here's my question to you, because the very next sentence says, he was knocked unconscious but was revived before being transported to UPMC Presbyterian. Well, now, does that have something to do with UPMC and Highmark? If you're injured, you're right in front of a hospital. The emergency room's right there. You wouldn't just go there? I would. Who wouldn't? He didn't even go to the closest UPMC hospital, which would have been Shadyside. So they take this guy away from the hospital where he had his accident and went by another hospital, Shadyside Hospital, and then into Oakland to deposit him at Presby. What is... I'm serious. So my question is, what? That's my question. Now, I understand, having been picked up by ambulance myself on occasion, that you are asked where you want to go. But I'm sorry. I just thought that was so stupid. Here's another little piece. This is a scientific nugget for you. Starfish are dying. They're not just dying. They're literally evaporating. Thousands of sunflower starfish. They're sometimes called sea stars. And the ones that are dying are in Vancouver Harbor. And it is the manner in which they're dying which is freaking everybody out. They just literally disintegrate. And all that's left is a pool of goo. I guess it'd be like, they must end up sort of like if you stick salt on a slug, huh? Everything just, and they don't know what it is. The little sea stars are turning into goo. It's troubling. And still staying in the oceans, another science thing. I get this from that Earth Week diary that, by the way, appears in both local papers over the weekend. The latest report on the change in the chemistry of the oceans of the Earth is a little daunting. The pollution, the increase in carbon dioxide emissions from burning fossil fuels, in case you hadn't heard about that before, literally killing off tons, millions, gazillions of aquatic life. And scientists are now warning, although it's hard to know when you are in the midst of something, you know, that's classic can't see the forest for the trees, that what we may be living in right now is one of the Earth's great mass extinctions of life. We hear about the big extinctions like the dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. But, it's not like that happens. Pew. They think, and you have to, if you pay any attention, it is true. For years now, we've been hearing these disquieting things about what's going on in the ocean. And sort of the ocean being the canary in the coal mine. And just massive, massive die-offs of whole species. And so you take that, we might be in a mass extinction. I wouldn't be surprised if we were. It sure seems that way, doesn't it? And even if we stick ourselves on terra firma, we are certainly aware of how many of the most glorious mammals on this earth are threatened now by extinction. Absent the zoos of the world, I don't know that many of these animals would even be, alive at all in any number. But the fact that so many will only exist in zoos, in created environments for them, is just so sad. So I do think mass extinction. I think it's going on. And speaking of mass extinction, stink bugs. I'm eating dinner at my dining room table last night. I have a lovely, lovely bouquet right there in the center that I myself had made. Lovely astro, whatever they're called. Beauteous. Yellows and oranges. And I lifted my hand and I was looking at one of, yes, Jess is looking at me, looking at one of the blooms. And yes, there was a stink bug sitting on one. They sit and they act like they belong there. They don't even, when you move the thing they're on, they don't move, they don't shirk, they just say like, hey man, motherfucker, this is where I decided I'm spending the winter. So anyway, Turns out there's a guy in New Jersey who says he's got it, he has a trap, he's built it. You can go online, he'll give you all there's a video he's made showing you how to make this absolutely gets every stink bug trapped. And I'm thinking, well then, I mean, he says he has a video showing how to build it. Now listen to this. I thought, ooh, well maybe I could do something like that. And then I see, how do you build it? With wood shims, cardboard, a staple or glue gun, Velcro, 2 box fans, and garbage bags. That's worse to me than trying, what's happening to my voice again? Oh dear God, please. This is what I get for making fun of Diana Rehm. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to end up with her voice. Anyway, that sounds worse than trying to put something together from IKEA. Who's going to do that? Wood shims, cardboard, staple, glue guns, Velcro, box fans, 2, and garbage bags. No, thank you. You know, make one up and I go and buy it, but I'm not going to build it. Oh, man. Chris, I'm glad you got tickets. You did. You got the tickets to Off the Record. Had such a good time. The show was one, but it was. I was walking into the Byam when Sophie was walking in. I'm glad to hear she was walking in because I wondered if they carried her in because she's not walking. I thought she was just there to see the show. Little did I know that she was the grand ending. Definitely going back next year. Anyone who hasn't attended this fabulous show, do yourself a favor and go. See, I've been telling people for 13 years, what do I have to do? Drag you one by one? And Chris, that was one of the best. That was one of the best. That was just unbelievably great. But speaking of Sophie, and I see you did the same thing. Reminds me of the passing of Michelle Madoff. I can't say I knew Michelle Madoff well. I was actually afraid of her. She scared me. She was just such a great character, force of nature, not necessarily likable. But there was a combativeness and toughness to her. And I found myself a few times covering Pittsburgh City Council when she was on. It was a circus. Between Madoff and Masloff. Yeah, the two of them on there together. And I could tell they didn't like each other. Madoff, Masloff, Furlow, and Jeep de Pasquale. Oh, my God. Not to mention Ben Woods when he wasn't in federal prison. Not to mention, who was that other? Richard Givens. What another. Oy. You cannot imagine. This was better entertainment than anything that would be on your television. I have a memory, because I had it on tape. I was once doing a story for Channel 4 on the clown, on the circus that was that council. And there was this distraught citizen who'd shown up and in the period when distraught citizens were allowed to speak to the council. This guy, I can still see him so clearly in my head. He had long, sort of stringy hair, and he had a beard, and he was, I don't know, maybe about 40 or something. And I don't know what he was so mad about, but God knows there's always something. And I just remember the tone of his voice and the sort of disbelief in it. When he just, in total frustration, and it came out like almost a sob. He said, looking at them, he said, What is wrong with you people? And it was so heartfelt, so sincere, that it's sort of like, I thought he distilled, there it was in a nutshell, how we all felt watching that council. And I thought it's so weird that Michelle has died, because for some reason, I know for what, I thought of that guy the other day. This was 30 years ago that he said that. Who he is, I don't know. I hope he's alive and well and a little less upset today. But I thought of him the other day, and I thought of him when I was thinking of our national government and the House and the Republicans. And I was thinking, this is the guy. This is, he's like the famous network scene. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to... It's just this distillation of all of the frustration looking at these idiots who can only argue with each other. God. That Sophie outlived Michelle. And I had no idea Michelle Madoff was that old. She was I mean that she was that much older than me. I sort of always thought, maybe she's about 7-8 years older than me. I don't know why. She was, fit and tough, and she was, if she'd smile a little, she was an attractive woman, but she was so pissed off all the time. But they all were. Anyway, great character. If you witnessed it, you weren't going to forget it. Oh, man. Well, I think I should take a little break, and we'll return momentarily.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Come to Little's for all of your back-to-school needs. Little's has everything for all ages to stay in style for this upcoming school season. Check out the large selection from Doc Marten, Steve Madden, UGG, Clarks, Lely Kelly, New Balance, and much, much more. Don't forget to come visit this season's colorful handbag selection as well. Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
I look at a date like this and I think this is a great day to go to a movie. I can't imagine I can never go into a movie theater if the sun's shining. I can't do that. I always freak when my friends go on a weekend afternoon or something and the sun's out. Why would you go into a darkened theater when the sun is out? Well, perfect day for a movie, and isn't this great? Because Real Q, what used to be the Pittsburgh Gay and Lesbian Film Festival, is underway downtown here, Harris Theater, and it goes to the end of this week. And there's just one wondrous thing after another. Obviously, some have already played because it started up on Friday. And whether you love documentaries or comedies or drama, it's all there. And Real Q has this. I'm really impressed by this, that it is one of the oldest gay lesbian film festivals in the world. Pretty cool. And also, if you want to know more, maybe pick up a city paper and you see what's playing. It's also in the local papers. You can also, if you have Comcast, Xfinity, you can just go to your on-demand and you can see trailers of some of the films, so you might get a better idea of whether or not you want to go. But Harris Theater is where it's at, and to know everything you need to know, just log on to www.realq.org. That's REELQ.org.
This week's Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for our special Halloween guide. Plus, Pearl Jam, The Pillow Project, Joe Grishecki, Sean Colvin, and news of the weird. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone with GPS-enabled music, event, and restaurant listings at citypapermobile.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Allison writes, if the Democrats lose this fight over the government shutdown and raising... Oh, we got a call? Mm-hmm. Okay. I interrupt my email for this. Hello.
I'm sorry I called you too soon.
That's okay.
I can't find the right break in there. But anyway, all I wanted to say, I know this government shutdown is about the stupidest thing you could ever come up with. But what really gets me is that they can let the House do this, and the president can't do nothing. I mean, what kind of a government's that when the president sees they're going to take down the economy and he can't jump in there and do something? Come on, something ain't right there.
Well,
we'll see you.
All right, bye. It's because the Founding Fathers, in their silliness, actually thought that the men, because they weren't thinking women, that the men who would be elected to the House and to the Senate would be serious men, would be the kind of men who understood their job and the mission of the House or the Senate, and would do that job. And that the good of the country would be uppermost in their minds. So they set up the system that that it's real hard to move forward in it. That is true. And that was intended. That's what the checks and balances are all about. Not to give too much power to any one entity, especially, and obviously they fought and people had died because of the tyranny of a monarchical system that they had been under. They were very leery of an executive that would have the kind of power that you're suggesting, which is to stand up and say, just stop this, shut up, sit down, and, here's what we're going to do. So they made a system that you can't do that in. Now, one of the problems is because of the rules. Actually, the email I was reading when you called, I think addresses exactly what I wanted to say. Allison writes, if the Democrats lose this fight over the government shutdown and raising the debt limit, no longer will the majority rule in this country. And the representative democracy that this country stood for will be gone. And she's right, because what you have, the people who are doing this are, well, first of all, it is a minority of a minority of the minority. However, in the House, the Republicans are the majority. And the Speaker and the majority of the Republicans are afraid of their own base because their base is who put the radicals in, the Tea Party types. And they're scared to death of them, so they're not leading anymore. I think more than the crazy Republicans being to blame, it's the so-called rational Republicans. Are there any of those anymore? I mean, just sort of more realistic, rational Republicans who I blame for lacking the courage to stand up to these bozos in their midst. And they're just not doing it. Allison writes, a few malcontents with the backing of a few wealthy individuals. Oh, yes. And that's true. And that's true, too. We'll hold this country hostage. I thought the last election showed that money lost, but now it's rising again with a vengeance. Allison also says, if buses are moved out of downtown, businesses will suffer. Many businesses benefit from people waiting for buses near them. That is true. I stand in front of a drugstore. I went in there just the other day realizing, oh, wait, I don't have to go stop it. I could just go in there and get my business done there, which I did. You're right. And if they toss us off that corner, which they intend to do, I won't be shopping at that drugstore. Many businesses benefit from people waiting. Many people shop where they can get off a bus across the street from them as opposed to walking several blocks. Just ask businesses in East Liberty after the Penn Circle debacle. Or the Allegheny Center. Remember that on the north side? In Allegheny Center businesses? She says if you can find one. Yeah, there's nothing survived there. Nothing survived. Chuck writes, my brother, who lives in North Carolina, tells me he's never seen a stink bug down there. How'd we get so lucky? When they get into my house, they entertain my boxer, Gracie, for hours. That's good. I'm glad they do. Actually, there's a map. I don't know which paper I saw it in today. There's a map showing which states are heavily infested. We're one. And which states have enough stink bugs now that they are agricultural pests and are definitely around, but people aren't like freaking out because they're not falling out of their chandeliers like they do in our neck of the woods. And then there are states where they've been cited, but there's still not much of a threat. That's as far west as like my home state of Wisconsin. I've been warning my mom about these things. She's terrorized by the very thought of them, but she's not seen one yet. And I guess they maybe haven't gotten as far south, but the reason they're here is this is where they started. Thank you very much. Apparently some shipping container came in. They were able to trace it and got opened up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and there were some stink bugs in it that had, just grabbed a ride from, I think somewhere in, was it one of South Korea or something, where they're native, and voila. And because they started their North American incursion in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania obviously is one of the first states that had them, so we're ahead of everybody else. They're pretty prolific creatures, so I suspect you'll see more and more states, and your brother eventually is going to see a stink bug in North Carolina. Saw you on 4802 on Friday. My wife and I were cheering you on. Never saw you so heated on that show. I almost threw something through the TV. Yeah, I think probably I was so pissed off. I couldn't help it. I was speaking out of turn. I know, I was bad. Who couldn't listen to them? They sat there and acted like they had a side that could be defended. The Republicans. I just went nuts. I couldn't just sit there and listen to them say things that were just so full of, excuse me, shit. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I did think afterwards I was I needed to behave better. But that's why I have trouble on shows like that. There's never there's not enough time to say what you want to say. And then, of course, it is polite. And I shouldn't be. I hate those shows where people are screaming and not letting other people talk. And that was what I did. Because I was just so pissed off. I mean, they just keep repeating this thing, and you can't get on the website to get to Obamacare. And just 2 hours earlier, I thought I should try out and see if you can get on the website. I mean, you keep reading that, right? So I went to it. What is it, healthcare.gov? I went to it. Bango! Popped right in. No wait. There was a question, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I answered. What do you want? I went from thing to thing to thing Because I live in Pennsylvania. Oh, no, because that is the thing. They ask me what state I'm in. So then you say your state, and then that rolls you right into, okay, here's what's available to you in Pennsylvania. And then there was all these questions to answer. And obviously I didn't do all of that. But people can't get on. Bang! First try. Bang! First try. Hello?
Hey, Lynn, you have to pardon me for my ignorance. I wanted to make a comment, but before that, what is the show that you are on?
That I didn't behave on the other night?
Yeah, you've spoken about it before.
4802 is the ridiculous name of it. That is the address on Fifth Avenue of WQED-TV.
Okay.
And it's on at 7:30 on Friday nights.
Gotcha. Okay, you've mentioned before. I never made note of it, but if I hope you don't mind me switching gears just slightly.
No.
You said something about the bicycle. I didn't realize it was a bicyclist that ran over that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize this, but it's getting a little bad. People are starting to take notice. I was at a bus stop last week, and this woman started screaming to her passenger because she was upset that she was at the red light, but the guy on the bike flew through it on Fifth Avenue, with reckless abandon. Now, I ride everywhere, okay? So I'm very sympathetic, and I'm pro-bike, and I don't like cars and traffic and that. But these people are a bunch of jackasses.
And they make it hard then for riders like you.
Their attitude is
I know.
I did Pedal Pittsburgh, and I joined that day, and I'm sorry I paid extra money to join Pedal Pittsburgh. I mean to join Bike Pittsburgh. I'll tell you why, because they are the most arrogant bunch of assholes they don't care. They do not care. The point was to foster a culture of bike and car harmony. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
No, they don't give a crap. They're arrogant like everyone else is in society. And they'll take what they can get. And that doesn't mean stopping for red lights or consideration for a car, anyone operating a car or anything like that. That's how I see it.
Well, as a driver, I see a lot of it. I do, and it's very annoying. It is very annoying. I appreciate I'm always amazed when a biker follows the rules. I was actually driving in the rain somewhere this weekend, and I hit a red light, and I'm sitting at the red light in the rain, and next to me is a bicyclist sitting at the red light in the rain, even though he could have, and I was thinking, geez, I wouldn't sit here like you are. And he was that intent on following the rules. And that was impressive because so many of them do not.
Right.
Yeah.
That is impressive. That is nice to see, but it's getting bad. Pittsburgh was not made. I mean, no. It's difficult.
Very.
To have both on our photography. And right now, I won't keep you long, but right now on Greenfield Avenue, there's a bunch of signs from some organization saying, keep going. And it has a number, 321 Ride. I don't know what this organization is. And what you see more and more are these people going up Greenfield Avenue, which is a long incline.
Yes.
Now, it's just the traffic is unbearably slow as they climb on their bikes. Now, what they could do is use the sidewalk that no one ever uses, pedestrian or otherwise. But no, they choose to ride up in the travel lane. And yesterday I saw two of them stopped in conversation. I guess they got winded and they couldn't make it up. So they were stopped in the middle, talking like I'm talking to you in the middle of the road. Granted, it was Sunday, but I'm just thinking, do people put their common sense, do they leave it at home sometimes? I don't know
either. And I'm sure that we're not intended to have a bicyclist riding down the center of the road,
right,
with 20 cars stuck behind him when he could, yes, jump up on the sidewalk for a little bit even though you're not supposed to, and or just pull over. And there's a lot of that going on, a lot of it.
Yeah, I think, though, that rule is only for commercial districts. Of course, I'm not saying everyone get on the sidewalk, but in a situation like that, where you have four, maybe not 20 in Greenfield, but 4 or 5 I've seen, stacked up behind a couple of bikes, they can get on the sidewalk. It's not a commercial district. It's very rarely used. It's common sense and courtesy.
Sure.
You can't legislate that.
Well,
what do you do?
Yeah, you just said the word courtesy. Courtesy requires caring about somebody other than yourself.
Right.
And that can be in real short supply.
And perhaps it's just they just don't think of it. I mean, maybe they're not discourteous; they just don't think of it. But I'll let you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Ed says you were formidable on 4802. I don't know. They kept shutting me down, so I had a feeling that I don't know. I don't think you don't win anybody over doing what I did by screaming, but you do make people like you maybe say, yeah. I don't know. It is really hard to sit and listen to this crap. I really freaked them out. I said, I think we're witnessing the demise of the Republican Party. And they looked at me like, they laughed. And I'm thinking, as if history never happens, huh? Parties stay forever? Tell that to the Whigs. No, they don't last forever. I don't know. After the tribute to Sophie, my favorite off the record was your rebuttal a couple of years. Oh, geez, Ed, you're an easy grader. I thought I screwed that up too. After I did that, Fred Hansberger wanted to kill me. They did a whole off the record sort of making fun of talk radio. I mean, they always hang it on something, and they used Hansberger and me. So we had characters playing us. We didn't do it, but then we were supposed to get up and talk. And I don't think he did. There was an odd sort of situation created. I don't know. I don't remember it, but I always cringe later when I've come on too strong. And I suppose that's the female in me, concerned that I've been unfeminine. Although, I mean, you can tell I don't care about that kind of thing too much. I don't know. So did you see this thing in the paper today about this guy who is studying spider personalities? He's a researcher at Pitt, and he says, spiders have personalities. You think every spider is the same as every other spider? No. There are aggressive spiders and timid spiders and empathetic spiders and self-centered spiders. There are all kinds of different spiders. They're different. Everybody's different. And he has ways of doing experiments to show how aggressive a spider is or how shy and passive. And in order to do this, he's working with something called an African social spider, and so they have really lousy eyesight. So the way they know if there's something around that might cause them trouble or something around that they might want to cause trouble too is through the vibrations that they feel, obviously, on their legs and or antennae. And so they're sitting on a leaf in a bush, and if something starts moving, then they know it's either an incoming predator or it's possibly dinner. So they live in this very vibratory world. And speaking of vibratory, that's what got this guy to realize that the best scientific tool for studying the spiders was a sex toy. And so this guy uses a vibrator. Don't you think I'm making this up?
I know.
I have, what? Right here on page 3. In a very serious science article. It says right here, Mr. Pruitt and his colleagues place a dried leaf in a colony and then mimic the movement of a trapped insect by touching the leaf with a vibrating sex toy. And so you get the same idea as like a stink bug trying to get out. This unusual piece of field equipment is well suited for the job, Mr. Pruitt said. and here the scientist praises the sex toy, the vibrator, thusly. They are waterproof, battery operated, long lasting, and you can adjust the excuse me. This is the best line. They're waterproof, long lasting, and you can adjust the speed to be just right. Of course, he's using it to arouse spiders. I thought that was a funny thing too. And then there was better take a break. Then we got to come back. There was a murder story, I think out of Swissvale, that was in the paper over the weekend, and it gave rise to a question again that I had, or just maybe it's a comment, but whatever. I thought, wow, what? I'll explain after this.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
This is Les Ludwig, an independent candidate for mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I ask for your vote on November 5th, and here's why. Some candidates play politics. I stand for a secure position in regards to fracking, one that's based on my background as a food technologist and opportunities that were presented in my lifetime in the dairy industry when I was a food chemist for the United States Army in Washington, D.C., and the dairy products literally stunk. Someone had to go ahead and take a stand. I did the chemistry, and I stood tall. What are we doing here with fracking? We have a fight between money and public safety. No one has defined clearly where the danger level is in the distance from the wells. Until we take the moratorium for 3 years and find out what that answer is, I have to stand on the side of public health, not on the side of $500 million of money. It's a mistake, because when we poison our water, we literally sentence ourselves to big trouble. I ask you for your vote and the question of standing tall when it comes to making a decision about fracking. Let's keep Allegheny County and its citizens safe. I thank you.
Go to the all-new bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. This month, big discounts on your favorite Halloween attractions. Supplies are limited. The all-new bergbargains.com. Pittsburgh's best bargains. bergbargains.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yes, here I am. Oh, well, thank you very much, Marge. Marge thought I did great Friday night. Yeah, right. And then she says, bikers, I thought I was the only one annoyed. I was driving inside of this village at 5 p.m. Thursday evening. There was a biker who did not care. He was slowing everybody down. Yeah, there is I don't know. I can't stand it if I think I'm annoying somebody behind me in my car. You know, I'm very sort of aware. I'm always thinking of, well, it's hard to comprehend people who don't think about others, because that's essentially it. Okay, so I think this was in Swissvale. Anyway, it has something to do with this awful murder. There's a guy dead. The guy's from Swissvale that's dead. He's 27 years old, and he got shot allegedly, by his girlfriend's ex. And here was the part of the... And the police say that the shooter knew the victim and the woman, so the three knew each other, and here's what the report says. Authorities have suggested that they knew each other through the local steampunk community. Okay. What the hell? Come on, Jess. You're up on things. What is steampunk? They have a community.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, you know what it is.
It's hard to explain.
Oh, my God, you know what it is.
Well, yeah.
But it's hard to explain.
I'll try to look up.
Well, wait. I'll have what they have here.
Okay.
They say steampunk is a group of people who combine an interest in STEAM technology and science fiction.
Yeah.
What? Wait a minute. What? I mean, I can think of a lot of two things that you put together. Okay. Oh, man, I'm really interested in STEAM technology. And I'm really interested in science fiction. What? Oh.
There you go.
The steampunk community. Hello.
Hey, Radio Punk, you still want to know about it, or did you get enough
Oh. Are you part of the steampunk community?
No, I find it highly annoying.
Well, what the hell is it? Those are two odd things.
Well, not really. When you have to consider the source of it, which is a mix of Victorian era aesthetic with a sci-fi bent thrown in. So I don't know. Do you remember the old film, the H.G. Wells' The Time Machine?
Yeah. Okay.
From like the 60s.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know if you remember what the Time Machine looked like, but it was kind of a infernal contraption. Very, very decorative element, but at its heart, kind of an industrial-looking thing.
Right.
That's the steampunk aesthetic. So it's this kind of technological, mechanical, but steam era technology for the most part, with a Victorian bent.
So how does a
Gothic sensibility thrown into it?
Okay, so what does that mean, though? A community, you get together and what? They get together and marvel at what?
Yeah, well, because they make the things themselves. They make the clothing, they make the devices.
Oh.
And very elaborate and often interactive and functional things.
Oh.
And they have parties, and just it's just like any other organization. They get together and they discuss it and have parties and talk about anything. It could be the literature. It's just it's a lifestyle, But it's largely a maker kind of do-it-yourself thing, also.
Wow. So, God, there's so many different kinds of people. So it would not surprise you then that later in the story it says that the one of these guys met the woman in the triangle on a dating website called Geek to Geek.
Well, yeah, there you go. See, that's the kind of science fiction end of it that comes into play.
Good God in heaven!
So yeah, it's very, and it is very. It's not. It's people that were, it's mostly people, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but are kind of nerds.
Yeah, nerdy. Yeah,
exactly.
But you never think of nerds as killing each other, do you?
Hey.
Nerds are people too.
It does have that kind of dark. It does have a dark Gothic kind of bent to it,
Okay.
So it might attract someone that's a little out of. It's out of mainstream.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, it's getting to be mainstream, but it started out very out of mainstream.
I have never heard of it. Steampunk community. I mean, I don't understand anything like that. I don't understand how someone would get so fascinated with something like that they would sort of, create their life around it. No more than I can understand Civil War reenactors or Renaissance.
Exactly, or Renaissance. That's
right.
Exactly what it's like. It's just like that.
I guess
it's just a more youthful version of it, and somewhat more creative version than the Civil War reenactor.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye. Jeez. Yes, online posting suggests the two men, one of whom's now dead, once attended the same steampunk symposium. Oh, man. People are something else. They really are. And I don't want to denigrate anybody who has an interest, who collects something. But I don't have anything like that. I don't think I do. I think I'm very boring in that way. And I worry because one of the things they say keeps you alive and vital is having a lot of interests. and passion and, social interaction. And my interest and passion are all very sort of insular. I love to read and read and read and read and read. But that doesn't, you aren't socializing then. I mean, at least if you're building time capsules, wearing hoop skirts or something, you're socializing. I don't know, steampunk. Who knew? God. Fascinating. Okay, catching up on your, amazing how many of you know about steampunks. Jeez, I'm so out of it. Lynn, imagine that all modern technology was operated by advanced, this is from Ray. Imagine that all modern technology was operated by advanced steam systems instead of the electrical systems. What arises is an imagination of pipes and valves and boilers and such. They also imagine the culture and clothing that would arise from being frozen in that Victorian age and operating the world with goggles and gloves. Okay. Wow. It's good we're not all alike. It's good. I mean, I'm all for diversity. I can't believe I never heard of such a thing. All the reading I do and I don't know. Oh, God, Joe sent me a steampunk version of a laptop PC. Oh, it's beautiful. So somebody creates this thing. So it has this Victorian, it's lovely. It has little silver claw feet, and it's particularly beautiful. If there were steampunk technology laptops. Oh, God. Well, I like to imagine things, what would happen if and what will be. And so I guess these people just take it one step further. That's all. Wow. Uh-oh, Ansel. Your subject line is a little distressing to me. This is not going to be a happy missive, I can tell. Ansel writes, I hate what we've become. He says, my wife and I attended a marching band concert last weekend. We sat in the stadium bleachers next to what appeared to be a nice older couple. Across the field, they hung 12 banners, one for each of the 12 marching bands in attendance. The older woman next to him asked me to read the banners because she couldn't see them. I read, North Hills, Mount Lebanon, Obama Academy, and then I was interrupted. The older woman said, oh my, Obama Academy, really? She continued, usually they name schools after dead presidents. Why would they name that school after him? Isn't that jumping the gun? Oh, Ansel, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I tried to talk her down because I could tell she was going to allow this to ruin her night. Let it ruin her night. She assumed I was a liberal. I'm a centrist independent, actually. And then she started her attacks on me. Fortunately, her husband was there to bring her back to earth. My point here is this. I hate what we've become. I was expecting a perfectly lovely night of good music, an escape from 24/7 coverage of dysfunction in Washington. This never would have happened a couple of decades ago. I think you're right. But you see, you said Obama, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. You said Obama Academy. That's it. Yep. Oh, that woman would be appalled to know how many schools are named after Obama already. My Lord. A lot of them. Yes, and he's not even dead yet. Although she'd love him to be dead. Isn't that something? Well, I'd feel like you're feeling, Ansel. Anytime you have an up close and personal encounter like that, it's very disquieting, very disturbing, it's like, okay, so I just found out there's something called a steampunk community. That's something I just found out. It isn't disturbing or distressing. It's vaguely interesting and surprising to me, but now I get it. But finding out that things are every bit as crazy and ugly as you think they might be when you're just trying to have a pleasant night out. And I understand. That is really depressing. It is. Well, I have some other things here, but I'm looking at my clock, and it doesn't look like I should bring up anything because they all are worthy of more attention. Oh, there's one little thing I can say. Did you see that the head of the state Senate here in Pennsylvania is suggesting that Pennsylvania, in order to sort of keep competitive, needs to raise the speed limit on its highways? I am so for that. I am so sick of driving home from somewhere else. I've been known to drive home from West Virginia. I've been known to drive home from Michigan, Ohio, that area. And it is really hard because you've maybe driven 3 hours and you've been going and you're driving at 70 or more, but the speed limit is 70. And then you hit, welcome to Pennsylvania, 55. That's a 15 mile per hour drive. You feel, if you want to obey the law, you feel like you all of a sudden aren't moving at all. And you're so close to home. You just want to get home. And they slow you down. And don't tell me it's because of the, winding roads and topography. You don't get windier than West Virginia highways, and they're at 70. Oh, God, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And he says he thinks that this is a Republican. He says it's really an economic issue because increased speed could mean more efficient delivery of goods and services. And the fact of the matter is all our neighboring states have maximum speeds of 70 miles per hour. You think truckers want to have anything to do with us? If there's some way they can get around us, they would, believe me. It is insane. We're just a slow-moving state in so many ways. Our 55 mile per hour speed limit is sort of just indicative of the whole mindset here, which is slow. Don't ever get to be the leader. Don't ever move out there. Now everybody just slow down. I hate it. So anyway, that's hopeful. Maybe. I think that's it. So got a lot of good stuff already just sitting here for tomorrow to talk about. And who knows, maybe something will happen in Washington. Maybe we should turn them all on to become part of the steampunk community. Maybe if they all could just get together and build a time capsule or something, they would bond. Get them doing something that has nothing to do with what they're really supposed to be doing, since they're not doing that anyway. Might work. I don't know. Well, anyway, here's hoping the sun shows up at some point. Even I know, Jess, but for the rest of us, because it's very depressing. It's go to a movie in the afternoon weather. That's what it is. That's what it is. Real Q. Remember that. And talk at you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.